October, a month that promises fun and fear in equal measure. But for some, the fear is all too real. Tonight, I will take you through 3 brutal murders that transformed Halloween festivities into real-life nightmares. I am the Mistress of Terror, and these are tales of innocence lost and darkness unleashed. Are you prepared to hear the truth? In 1979, Los Angeles was a city full of dreams, but for young girls like Lucinda Schaefer, it became a living nightmare. Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris, 2 men who had met in prison, turned their shared fantasies into a spree of horror, hunting for young women they could torture in their van, what they called their murder Mac. Lucinda was just 16, a high school girl with a passion for music and dance. She had just left a church meeting when she encountered the 2 men who would end her life. They offered her a ride, and she, unaware of the danger, accepted. Her last moments were filled with terror as she was bound and gagged, helpless as they used pliers to tear at her flesh. Her desperate pleas echoed in the van as they tortured her, prolonging her agony to fulfill their sadistic cravings. By the time they strangled her with a wire hanger, she had suffered hours of unimaginable pain. Her family never got to say goodbye. Her life snuffed out in a grotesque ritual of suffering. And then there was Shirley Lynette Ledford. At 16, Shirley was a popular high school student known for her kindness and adventurous spirit. She had just left her job at a local restaurant on Halloween night. When she accepted a ride from Bittaker and Norris, they recorded every horrifying moment of her torture. Detectives described her last screams as the most chilling sound they had ever heard. The court listened to the tapes, and even seasoned jurors broke down as they heard Shirley's final moments. The toolbox they used, filled with hammers, pliers, and other tools of torment, became infamous. Bittaker and Norris were eventually caught, but the horror they left behind in that October of suffering continues to haunt those who remember. Their victims' last interactions, innocent gestures that cost them their lives, are a chilling reminder that evil often comes in the guise of a friendly stranger. In 1975, Martha Moxley was a vibrant 15-year-old girl who lived in Greenwich, Connecticut, a town known for its wealth and safety. She had everything to look forward to: a high school dance, college, and a bright future. On October 30th, Mischief Night, she was out with friends, laughing, playing pranks, and enjoying the Halloween festivities. Her last night was filled with laughter until she ran into the Skakel brothers, neighbors from a prominent family. The next morning, her body was found beneath a tree in her own yard. Her skull had been crushed by a golf club, which shattered under the force of the blows. The killer then used the jagged shaft to stab her in the neck, leaving her sprawled in a pool of blood, her face almost unrecognizable. The brutality was staggering, and it took years for her family to piece together what had happened that night. suspicion fell on Michael Skakel, who was later convicted after several witnesses claimed he had bragged about the murder. The trial dragged on, with Skakel's defense arguing that he was targeted due to his family's wealth. But the evidence was damning. Pieces of the broken club matched one found in his home. Martha's family never found peace, haunted by the knowledge that someone she knew had betrayed her, robbing her of a future filled with promise. Suzette York was a beloved teacher in Tennessee, known for her dedication to her students. In October 2011, she took her students to a local carnival, a trip meant for fun and bonding. Among her students was Edward Mallet, a troubled 16-year-old who harbored dark fantasies. Suzette had no idea that she was the focus of his twisted obsession. Edward lured Suzette into an empty trailer where he attacked her with a knife. Her throat was slashed, her body mutilated in a frenzied assault that left over 20 stab wounds. Investigators described the scene as a bloodbath. Walls splattered with Suzette's blood, the floor littered with torn clothing and fragments of her last struggle. Edward showed no remorse, sitting calmly as officers arrived, his hands still stained with the evidence of his brutality. In questioning, Edward claimed he had been driven by voices, that the carnival had awakened something dark within him. He recounted his crime with a chilling detachment, as if reliving a scene from a horror movie. Suzette's family was devastated, and her students struggled to reconcile their memories of a kind teacher with the horror that unfolded that night. The once lively carnival now lies abandoned, a ghostly reminder of a joy that turned to horror in the blink of an eye. October is a time for stories, but some stories are too terrifying to tell by the fire. These murders were more than just tragedies. They were reminders that horror can strike when you least expect it. I am the Mistress of Terror, and now that you've heard these tales, they are with you, haunting your thoughts as you move through the shadows. Remember, when you look into the darkness looks back. Like, subscribe, and enter the darkness. The shadows are always watching. The shadows are always watching.